The Arctic, a vast wilderness of ice and snow, is undergoing a profound transformation. It is a place of stark beauty, yet it is warming at an astonishing rate. Indeed, scientists tell us it is heating up 4 times faster than anywhere else on our planet. This rapid warming is not just an environmental concern, it is reshaping the very geography of the region. As the ancient ice retreats, it unveils a new world. A world of opportunity, but also one of fresh challenges and growing rivalries between nations. The shrinking ice cover is granting easier access to the Arctic's hidden treasures. Beneath the icy veneer lies substantial, untapped natural resources. Vast reserves of oil and natural gas, estimated to be around 30% of the world's undiscovered gas, are thought to be here. There are also critical minerals, essential for our modern technologies. For many nations, the lure of these riches is becoming increasingly hard to resist. The potential for economic gain is immense, drawing ever more attention to this once remote part of the Earth. Beyond the buried resources, the melting ice is also opening up new pathways across the seas. Shorter maritime trade routes are emerging, connecting Asia and Europe. These routes, like the Northern Sea route along Russia's coast, could dramatically cut down travel times for cargo ships. Some even suggest these new passages could become more profitable than the long-established Suez Canal. Such a shift would have significant implications for global trade, making the Arctic a key strategic waterway for the future. This convergence of resource access and new trade routes is turning the Arctic into a focal point of international interest. What was once a frozen, isolated expanse is fast becoming one of the most hotly contested parts of the world. Nations are looking north, assessing the potential gains and the shifting balance of power. This heightened attention inevitably brings with it the seeds of competition. And where there is competition for such valuable assets, tensions can easily arise, creating a complex and delicate geopolitical landscape. Far from the Arctic's icy shores, the nation of China harbors significant ambitions for this northern realm. It has declared its intention to become a polar superpower. Despite its geographical distance, its northernmost regional capital, Harbin, shares a latitude with Venice in Italy. China describes itself as a near-Arctic state. This assertion signals a clear intent. China sees a future for itself in the Arctic. It is actively working to establish a foothold in this rapidly changing region, eager to play a role in its development. China's strategy involves several approaches. It is actively seeking opportunities to invest in real estate and infrastructure projects across the Arctic. There is the ambitious Polar Silk Road plan, aiming to utilize Arctic shipping routes for its trade. However, not all of China's efforts have been successful. Recent attempts by Beijing to acquire stakes in seaports in Norway and Sweden and an airport in Greenland were met with resistance. These setbacks have, in part, nudged China towards greater cooperation with Russia in the Arctic. Concrete examples of China's growing interest are increasingly visible. For instance, delegations from China have visited small towns on Norway's northern tip, like Kirkenes. They have expressed interest in the region's potential. China also maintains a research station on the Norwegian archipelago of Svalbard. While officially for scientific purposes, some observers express concern that such facilities might have dual uses, perhaps including intelligence gathering. These activities underscore China's determination to have a presence in the high north. The motivations behind China's Arctic policy are multifaceted. Access to natural resources and the promise of new, shorter trade routes are undoubtedly key drivers. But there is more to it than just economics. Establishing a presence in the Arctic is also about strategic positioning on the global stage. It is about projecting influence and ensuring that China is not left out as the rules and governance of this critical region are shaped in the coming decades. The Arctic, for China, is another arena to assert its growing global power. Russia holds a dominant position in the Arctic, controlling roughly half of its vast shoreline. With its extensive experience and infrastructure in the region, Russia has been keen to attract foreign investment, and China has emerged as a willing partner. The Arctic, it seems, offers low-hanging fruit for collaboration between these two powers. Russia needs investment for its ambitious Arctic development plans, particularly in energy and infrastructure. China, with its significant capital and resource needs, represents a ready market and a source of that investment. This Russo-Chinese cooperation extends significantly into the military domain. Their armed forces have conducted joint military exercises in the Arctic. In a notable development, China's Coast Guard entered the Arctic for the first time in late 2023, participating in a joint patrol with Russian forces. Furthermore, long-range bombers from both countries have provocatively patrolled the Arctic Ocean near Alaska. These actions send a clear signal of their growing strategic alignment in a region of increasing military importance to other global powers. However, the relationship between Russia and China in the Arctic is not without its complexities and underlying caution. China is careful to navigate the international landscape, keen not to become too closely aligned with Russia in a way that might trigger further Western sanctions. On the other side, Russia, while welcoming Chinese investment, remains wary of allowing China to gain too deep a foothold or too much influence in what it considers its own strategic backyard. It is a partnership of convenience, with both sides acutely aware of their own national interests. Meanwhile, NATO and European powers are closely monitoring these developments. Norway, with its long Arctic border with Russia, plays a crucial role. From a Cold War-era command center, it shares real-time intelligence with its NATO allies. Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, and with Finland and Sweden joining the alliance, nearly all Arctic coastal states except Russia are now NATO members. This has led to a more robust deterrent posture from NATO in the Arctic, aiming to counter Russia's military presence and its concentration of nuclear weapons in the region. Amidst these grand geopolitical maneuvers, the human element, particularly the perspective of indigenous communities, is often overlooked. Over half of the Arctic's indigenous populations live in the Russian Arctic, and many across the circumpolar north feel their rights and voices are ignored. Miyuki Dorana, a youth activist from Greenland's Inuit community, articulates a growing concern. She accuses some European countries of using the climate crisis as a pretext for what she terms green colonialism or developmental aggression, leading to resource extraction and encroachment on indigenous lands. These communities, who have lived in harmony with the Arctic environment for millennia, now find their traditional ways of life under immense pressure. The changing climate impacts their hunting and fishing grounds. The increased industrial activity and shipping disrupt delicate ecosystems. There is a profound sense of being caught between the ambitions of distant superpowers, with decisions about their ancestral lands being made without their meaningful consent. On Svalbard, for example, the flexing of nationalist muscles since the Ukraine invasion has added to local anxieties and suspicions. The heightened military presence and competition from multiple nations in the Arctic also carry significant risks. With so many rival interests converging in a sensitive environment, the chances of misinterpretation or miscalculation are alarmingly high. Russia maintains a significant concentration of its nuclear arsenal in the Arctic, a stark reminder of the potential stakes. While communication channels like the weekly calls between Norwegian and Russian military commanders are maintained, the overall situation remains fraught with tension and uncertainty. The Arctic is truly at a crossroads. This magnificent, unique part of our world, so vital for global climate stability, faces unprecedented challenges. Environmental degradation driven by climate change is compounded by the escalating scramble for its resources and strategic advantages. The future of the Arctic is far from certain. The decisions made today by nations near and far will determine whether it becomes a zone of peaceful cooperation and sustainable development, or an arena of conflict with profound consequences for its people, its wildlife, and indeed, the entire planet.